Second quarter of the season in the books. Let's talk about some stat leaders. What is up, NFL fans? Welcome to Finn's Temporal Focus. This is not really a part two to yesterday's video, but it is a second quarter review. This one will be on the stat leaders, and a few surprises in this. I think it's kind of interesting. Still got for the Finns fans who are out there, we still got a guy. We still got a guy in the stat leaders. But I'm going to talk about that because I noticed something interesting about those stat leaders. We'll look at it, and I may have to have some of my younger viewers to fill me in on this one, actually. Needless to say, you can look at the beard and pretty much the face. I'm old school guy. But we're going to get into this. And again, guys, comments. That's what I enjoy. For anybody who's come in, and I will have stats up to show you the players and the stats as I read them off. But leave a comment about the players and how you think they're doing and who you think, is going to lead the league. You can talk about MVPs if you want to. I'm not a big MVP guy. I do think Josh Allen deserved it last year. But over the last few years, it's become such a quarterback award. It should just become a quarterback award. The MVP should be moved to a different level to me, because I do not think that the quarterback is the MVP every single year. Just doesn't make sense to me. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, Josh Allen totally deserved last year. Lamar Jackson, he had one that I felt like was deserved. So you've got those random few, but it just seems like, hey, it's whatever quarterback is leading the league, there's your MVP. And to me, for instance, this year, Jonathan Taylor should be at the front of the list for MVP. Whether he gets it, he'll probably get Offensive Player of the Year, but whatever. It's a watered down award that is a joke. They can talk about it all they want to, but the MVP is an absolute joke. But we're going to get into some stats and what it looks like. And as far as passing, I don't do passer rating. A lot of people do go by passer rating quite often, but it just, again, it also seems a little watered down. You can kind of look at the stats in general and get an idea of the quarterbacks that are really good. So the only thing I really look at is yards, touchdowns, completion percentage. And I do look at interceptions, but what I do is when we talk about the touchdowns, I will tell you how many interceptions that quarterback has. In case you're missing it, I don't do the most interceptions, because that this is about the good quarterbacks, which my boy Tua is tied for dead last. So just to let you know, that's not why I don't do it. But I don't do it because we're talking about the guys that are really, really having awesome years. So we'll start with passing yards. Daniel Jones, 2,404 yards, is number one. He was number three in the first quarter of the season. Justin Herbert, 2,390, is number two. He was fourth in the first quarter. Patrick Mahomes has made the list. 2,349 yards. He was not on the list in the first quarter of the season. Dak Prescott, who was number one, has moved down to fourth, 2,319 yards. Drake May, 2,285. He was sixth on this list in the first quarter. He is now fifth. And then Matthew Stafford, 2,147 yards. He was second on this list in the first quarter, now sixth. We go into touchdowns, and Matthew Stafford. Now, this one impresses me. Matthew Stafford leads this list. Number one, he was fourth during the first quarter of the season. 21 touchdowns. And that's impressive enough. But two interceptions. That's pretty bad A, okay? Pretty bad A. And Justin Herbert is number two on this list. He wasn't on this list in the first quarter. 18 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And I'll still be showing it up here, the other players, but there were 6 tied for 17th, or 6 tied with 17 touchdowns on the season. And I wasn't going to go through and talk about each and every one of them, but you'll see them up here so you know who they are. Then we go into completion percentage. Drake May, number one. He was number one the first time I did this list. 74.1. Jared Goff also did not change. He was second. He is still second, 73.8. Lamar Jackson, who was fifth on this list in the first quarter, 72.9. He is third. Jordan Love, 70.8, was not on this list in the first quarter. Yeah, he comes in fourth. Josh Allen, 70.4. He was sixth the first quarter of the season, is now 5. And then Sam Darnold, who was not on this list, 70.4, rounds out the completion percentage leaders. So that is your quarterbacks in a nutshell. The guy that I think is the most impressive on this list is really a toss-up between two. To me, it's Drake May and Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, really, because of that 21 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, that is completely crazy. And then you have May, who has pretty much led the league in completion percentage all year. He is still number one. He was also fifth in yardage. Wasn't on the top, on touchdowns, unless he was in with the 6 tied. So you can leave a comment. I don't have that in front of me. Just putting it up here for you. And but Matthew Stafford, Drake May, I think those are the two that really seem to stand out. Justin Herbert needs a little bit of a note. He was second in yards and touchdowns, so also impressive. I don't want to pass up Justin. So then we get into rushing, and I'm going to name off everybody, but there's really no point at this point in the season. Jonathan Taylor, 895 yards, 5.7 yards per carry. He was number one last quarter, number one this quarter. James Cook was number 2 last quarter, number 2 this quarter. 867 yards, also 5.7 yards per rush. And then we've got a new sighting, the Carolina Panthers. Rico Dowdle, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Not on this list in the first quarter. Now he is third, 735 yards, 5.6 yards per carry. You also have Javonte Williams, who was sixth, in the first quarter, 716 yards, 5.2 a carry. And then you have J.K. Dobbins, who was not on this list in the first quarter, 695 yards. He's at 5.1 yards per carry. And then rounding out the bottom end is Derrick Henry, still plowing, still amazing to watch. Derrick Henry didn't make the list in the first quarter, Did have a lot of fumbles early on in the season as well. 629 yards, 4.9 yard average, and at his age, still doing it. Very impressed with Derrick Henry. We also go to touchdowns. What else is new? Jonathan Taylor, 12 touchdowns. He was number one in both quarters. Josh Jacobs, 10 touchdowns. Javonte Williams of Dallas has 8 touchdowns. Then you have, this one's interesting, Josh Allen, 7 rushing touchdowns. James Cook, 7 rushing touchdowns. And then you have Derrick Henry and Jahmyr Gibbs, who both have 6 rushing touchdowns. And then you have a few that go into the 5 touchdown area. And there's no question on this list. It's Jonathan Taylor. Nobody even comes close. I think at this point in the season, he is the MVP of the season. And, just is what it is. He is absolutely amazing. Let's see. We're going into receivers. You have Ja'Marr Chase. He was 5th in the first quarter of the season. First today, 76 receptions for Ja'Marr Chase. McCaffrey, who is a running back, obviously, for San Francisco, is number 2. He was number 3 in the first quarter. 61 catches. And then also Puka Nacua, also 61 catches. So you have a tie for second place. Nacua was actually number 1 in the first quarter. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 59 catches. He would be 4th on this list, and he was 4th the first quarter of the season. Jackson Smith Janube is the way I'm going to pronounce that. I hope I am pronouncing it right. 58 receptions. He was 5th in the first quarter of the season, and still 5th. You also have tight end from Dallas, Jake Ferguson, with 56 catches. He was actually 2nd on this list in the first quarter, and he falls down to, where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6th. Thought it was 6th, but sometimes I do these a little off, and I apologize. Got some allergies going on this morning. Yards, Jackson Smith, Jumba. I'm not going to pronounce that right. Please break it up in the comments and tell me how to say this guy's name. But 948 yards. Ja'Marr Chase, 831 yards. George Pickens of the Dallas Cowboys, 764 yards. Of course, Nacua has 711. Justin Jefferson sighting. Haven't seen him in a hot minute. Justin Jefferson of the Vikings, 649 yards. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, 635 yards, rounds out this list. And then we'll go to touchdowns. The Los Angeles Rams, Adams with 8 touchdowns, and Devontae, forgot his name. That's why I was struggling. Devontae Adams, 8 touchdowns. The tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Goedert, with 7 touchdowns. St. Brown also has 7 touchdowns. He was actually number 1. He had 6 in the first quarter, St. Brown, and has only had 1 in these last. Now, they may have had a bye in there, but still only 1 touchdown for St. Brown over the last 4 to 5 weeks. And then, like I said, Dallas Goedert, tight end for the Eagles, has 7 touchdowns. Wasn't on this list the first quarter of the season, and now he is tied for second. And then you have 6 that are tied with 6 touchdowns. So that is what we look like offensively. From the receiver's standpoint, I think it's still Jamar Chase, pretty much the most impressive. I think he was in that group with the 6 touch. Actually, no, I think he either had 6 or 5. If he's on here, he had the 6. If he's not, then he had 5 touchdowns. But 76 catches for 831 yards and either 5 or 6 touchdowns. Most impressive receiver, I think, at least in my opinion. And then I still got to go with Puka. He fell off a little bit, but he did have a bit of an injury. And we're going to go with Puka Nacua, 61 catches, 711 yards. I don't think he was in this list for the touchdowns, but I may be wrong. Like I said, I can't see this, and I don't have a computer screen in front of me. Everything is just wrote down, and everything else is just done off the noggin. So maybe one of these days I'll learn how to use a computer and not have to use my phone. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. So we're going to move to the defensive side of the ball. And we're going to start with tackles. Now, this is the interesting one, because I'm going to go over this with you, because I had said Jordan Brooks led in the first quarter tackles. He still leads. He is number 1 on the list. He was number 1 in the first quarter. He has 93 tackles on the season. And I made a joke in the first quarter video where I said the reason he has so many tackles is because the Dolphins can't get off the field. This is my question, because I'm from the day when leading the league in tackles meant something. You know, it was Mike Singletary. Of course, nobody's going to come to mind. Of course, Zach Thomas. Greg Lloyd, all these great linebackers, and of course, like I said, I'm drawing a blank right now. I said Singletary, so many others, but it meant something. You've seen these guys leading the league in tackles every year, and their teams were really good. And I just kind of got to noticing this. It's very interesting to me. We're going to go into it. Number 2 on this list with 91 tackles is Cedric Gray. He plays for the Tennessee Titans. Okay. Bobby Wagner, which we know is a great linebacker. 90 tackles. Obviously plays for Washington. Washington losing record. Number 4 on this list, Demario Davis, 84 tackles. Plays for the New Orleans Saints. Are you getting what I'm passing out here? Everybody on this list is on a losing team. Now, in my day, like I said, the 80s, 90s, the guy that was leading the league in tackles was on one of the top 5, at least top 10 defenses in the league. And here we are. Bobby Okereke, 82 tackles, New York Giants. And here's your only winning team. Alex Singleton, 80 tackles on the season, plays for the Denver Broncos. That's your only winner. And last on the list, also with 80 tackles, is Devin White with the Las Vegas Raiders. So out of all these leading tacklers, only one player is on a team with a winning record. Has the league changed that much that now your leading tacklers are just, they're leading the league in tackles just because their team cannot get off the field. Because before, the guys that led the league in tackles were on really good defenses, and it was because and they were getting off the field. I just thought it was it's just something that kind of hit me as I'm doing my list and really surprised me. So leave a comment, let me know what I'm missing. But when you look at it right now, leading the league in tackles is not necessarily a good thing, according to this list anyway. We're going to go into sacks. Brian Burns of the Giants, 11 sacks. Linebacker, defensive end Myles Garrett with 10. He was fourth on this list in the first quarter. Brian Burns also, he was number 1 last quarter and this quarter. Byron Young, linebacker for the Rams with 9 sacks. You also have linebacker Nick Benito for Denver Broncos. He was third on this list in the first quarter. Drops to fourth with 8 sacks. And then you have defensive end from Green Bay, Rashawn Gary, who was also tied. He was tied with Nick Benito in the first quarter for third place. And he now has 7.5. And then you also have 4 guys tied with 7 sacks on the season. And this list, and going back to tackles, I got off on a tirade, so I will go back to tackles just to say I'm going to go ahead and give the nod. You know what? I'm going to give it to Bobby Wagner, who I think is the most impressive. It would be Bobby Wagner and Alex Singleton. Bobby Wagner, because he's done it forever. We know he's an amazing linebacker. And then Alex Singleton, just because he's on a winning team. He's the only guy on this list that's on a winning team. Does that mean he's the best tackler? No, I'm not one of those guys. I don't necessarily think the best quarterback in the league is it has a winning record either. I don't. Same with any position. But when you look at this list, I'm going to give it to Alex Singleton, I guess, and Bobby Wagner as far as on the tackles list. But the sacks, you got to go with Myles Garrett. Not trying to take anything away from Brian Burns. He has been absolutely a beast this season. Myles Garrett, who he had he was fourth on this list in the first quarter, has booted up to number 2, only 1 sack behind Burns, and he is just an absolute beast, an absolute guy that can take over a game. Nick Benito as well, Byron Young. I mean, you could take any of these guys, but for me, it's Myles Garrett out of Cleveland. And then we'll go to interceptions, and Kevin Byard, who was number 1 in the first quarter. He is still number 1 with 4 interceptions on the season. And then you have another Chicago Bear, linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. Shout out to Farrell, his father, played Miami. Wasn't on this list in the first quarter, but he is tied with, all 3 of these guys are tied. They all have 4 interceptions, but it's Tremaine Edmonds from Chicago, and then linebacker out of Jacksonville, Devin Lloyd, and I think Lloyd actually returned one of his for a touchdown. And then you have 9 guys tied, and I wasn't going to go through again. It should be up here, but you got like 9 guys tied with 3 interceptions on the season. So we're just going to talk about those 3, and I'm going to stay with Kevin Byard because, Kevin Byard the third. To say it right, I'm going to stay with him. He was number 1 in the first quarter. He's still tied for number 1 in the second quarter. A very solid safety, and that's going to be my guy. Although, like I said, Tremaine Edmonds got to give him a shout out just because of Farrell, his father. But Tremaine has been an amazing linebacker. His father was actually a tight end, but Um, he's been an amazing linebacker, and he has showed it. Another interesting thing, real quick, and I may be wrong, but you guys can see it. I cannot. In those 9 that was tied with 3 interceptions, you have another Chicago Bear, like right down here somewhere. So the Bears have 3 guys on this list with 3 or more interceptions. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. Which we done not our stats, but we done our standings and stuff yesterday. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that video. And the Bears still very much in the race for that division. And it's kind of nice to see all these defensive players for the Bears. You know, you think of the Bears and you do think defense, Munsters, the Midway, all of the hype. And it's nice to see you got 3 Bears, 3 Bears on this defensive list. And so pretty cool for Chicago. But guys, leave a comment. You enjoy checking out and seeing who the league leaders are? Do you care who the league leaders are? I kind of do. I like seeing, for one thing, it gives me a chance to see names that I don't really think about as much. Just like Brian Burns leading the league in sacks. You don't really hear that name a lot. Of course, you hear Myles Garrett and Byron Young and Nick Benito, you know, some of those guys. And then the same with, I had no idea who Jackson Smith Jingba, Ningba, maybe it's Ningba, out of Seattle. Didn't really know who he was, because like I said, I don't keep up with every team. And so this list helps me see guys where I'm like, oh, hey, I kind of want to check this guy out, you know, because he's putting up some big stats. Let's see what he's doing. Which was another interesting thing. Prime example, and I'll have to go back to see. I can't even remember his name, and that's another reason I like doing this with you guys, because it gives me a chance to, you know, learn some guys' names. Rushing, Travis Etienne Jr., who was on this list for rushing. I actually went and checked out some of his tape. It was interesting. Now, the second quarter, he didn't make this list, so we'll see how that goes. But I would have never known about Etienne Jr. if I hadn't have done this list and checked him out. So that's why I enjoy doing it. And I hope you guys enjoy checking it out. And it's just, it's fun to just kind of look at the stats and see what everybody's doing. And leave a comment. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, it's a fine time to say it now, but I will before somebody yells at me and says, hey, you forgot to mention Tyler Huntley, who's on this list. He is like 3rd, I think, completion percentage or something like that. I didn't, because he only played in like a game, maybe 2 games. And ironically, him and Lamar Jackson right there together on completion percentage. So that was kind of interesting. But a lot of people are going to look at the list that was over my shoulder during the quarterbacks and say, hey, what about Lamar Huntley? Well, you got to play so much for me to really look at, especially completion percentage, seriously, you know. So that's why I didn't mention Tyler Huntley before anybody comes at me on that one. So if you watch the whole video, you got that note. If you only watched it to the quarterbacks, then you'll probably leave a message saying, hey, why didn't you say something about Tyler Huntley? Well, you should have watched the whole video. But guys, that's the end of this one. I am going to try and get my Dolphins-Bills preview. Again, I know you guys don't really watch the preview games. And a lot of it's probably because nobody cares about the Dolphins right now. But I still enjoy doing them. I enjoy doing the matchups. and putting them out there. So I'm going to continue to do it for my own sanity. And that video, I'm hoping to be out tonight. If not, it will be late tomorrow afternoon. And if it is late tomorrow afternoon, who cares? The Dolphins play on Sunday, and like I said, I don't think a lot of people are watching those preview games anyway. But again, I enjoy talking about it. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed checking out the stats in the second quarter of the NFL season, and we'll see if this list continues, in the third quarter, which will actually only be in 3 weeks because I got behind getting this done. So we're going to get it in 3 weeks. I will do the third quarter of the season standings and stats. You'll get both of those. And guys, like and subscribe, or hit the thumbs down. That's fine if you don't like the content. Doesn't bother me. I do love the comments though, so try to leave a comment. And guys, make good decisions, and fins up for the future.